Chosen ones, hear me. There is a power inside you, vast, ancient, and unshakable, that you've been carrying without even knowing it. A force so divine, it could shift the very atmosphere around you, bend circumstances in your favor, and silence the storms that have raged against you. But here's the truth. Most never awaken to it. They walk through life blind to the fire that was placed in their spirit before they ever took their first breath. If you are hearing this right now, it is not by accident, it is by divine appointment. You have been drawn here because heaven has decided it's time for your eyes to be opened. Type 777-inch the comments as a prophetic act, a sign that you are ready to receive and walk in what is already yours. And to those who have blessed this message through super thanks, whether you've given or simply stood with us in spirit, know that I am deeply grateful for you. Stay with me, because in the next moments, I will uncover why this power has been hidden from you and what will happen when it finally awakens. God's chosen ones, you have this power, but you don't know it yet. There exists, within the span of human existence, something far greater than our limited minds can grasp, a mystery so vast that even the greatest philosophers have stood in silence before it. For some, there lies a sleeping giant within, an untapped reservoir of divine power, so immense, so luminous that it has the capacity not only to transform their own destiny, but to alter the very fabric of reality itself. This is not a power earned through titles or degrees. It is not the fruit of human ambition. It is a sacred endowment, placed in the hands of the chosen ones, men and women marked by heaven's decree to bear the torch of transformation and divine enlightenment. Yet here lies the paradox. Many of these chosen ones walk through life unaware of the treasure buried in their own souls. They wake, they work, they breathe, but they do not realize they carry the very key to open gates no human strength could ever unlock, as Scripture declares. We have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. 2 Corinthians 4-7. How many walk past you each day, neighbors, co-workers, strangers in the market, holding within them the seed of a revival that could reshape nations? Could it be that you yourself have been living as if you were ordinary, when heaven has already inscribed your name in the chronicles of destiny? These chosen ones emerge from all walks of life, the silent servant and the public leader, the shepherd boy and the queen in exile. They are not defined by wealth, position, or heritage, but by a latent power dormant within them, awaiting the precise moment of awakening. This is the same unseen potential that called Gideon out of hiding and told him, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior," Judges 6:12. But until the giant within them stirs, they may feel small, even invisible, not knowing that the heavens have already been preparing them for an hour that will shake the earth. History offers vivid portraits of this truth. Take, for example, the life of Corrie ten Boom, a Dutch watchmaker who lived quietly until the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands forced her into a choice that would reveal the strength hidden within her spirit. She and her family risked everything to hide Jewish refugees, guided by an inner conviction that God's law was higher than man's. She once said, "Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God." Corrie was an ordinary woman until the sleeping giant within her awoke, and she became a fortress of courage amidst the shadows. Could the same awakening be waiting for you? But light always attracts the attention of darkness. For every chosen one, there are those who live as agents of destruction. One chilling example is Philippe Pétain, a decorated French general who, instead of resisting the tide of evil in World War II, chose to collaborate with Nazi occupiers, betraying his own people for personal preservation. His legacy stands as a stark warning. When one with influence refuses to awaken to righteousness, their slumber becomes a doorway for oppression. The absence of light in a leader's soul can cast an entire nation into shadow. Are you guarding your gift, or letting it be silenced by compromise? This dormant power in the chosen ones is not a skill to be mastered, but a divine spark, set into motion by God's own will. It is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose. Philippians 2:13. It resonates like a frequency in the unseen realm, silent to most ears, but irresistible to those attuned to heaven's voice. And when it awakens, the world will feel the shift. Nations will sense it. Enemies will tremble, and those bound in darkness will glimpse the light. King David himself was overlooked by his own family, left to tend sheep, while others were called to the feast. Yet it was to him that the prophet Samuel said, "Rise and anoint him, this is the one." 1 Samuel 16:12. The same is true today. God's choices are often hidden in plain sight, their greatness concealed until the appointed time. In the stillness of preparation, the architecture of heaven is shaping them like a cathedral, rising stone by stone, unseen by the crowds, until its spires pierce the sky. In Scripture, the Apostle Paul reminds us, the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. 2 Timothy 1-7. That is the mark of a chosen one, not arrogance, but authority, not pride, but purpose. And when this awakening comes, you will not merely influence a room, you will shift the atmosphere. So, I speak to you now. Your life is not a random sequence of events. You were placed here in this generation for a reason. The same God who called Esther for such a time as this has written your name into this hour. The sleeping giant within you is not meant to slumber forever. Stand, rise into the fullness of your calling, step forward, not as a seeker of approval, but as a carrier of kingdom authority. The time to awaken is not tomorrow, it is now. This power is not something that can be learned in the classrooms of men, purchased with gold, or mastered through relentless practice. It is not a trophy of ambition, nor the result of worldly skill. It is an inherent quality woven into the very fabric of a soul before their first breath, a birthright granted by the Creator himself. Not the universe, as the poets guess. It is a cosmic inheritance, a royal seal upon the spirit, waiting in quiet patience to be recognized and embraced. Yet the question lingers across generations: how does one truly know if they are among the chosen? And perhaps more pressing, what happens if they never awaken to it? History is full of those who buried their talent, like the servant in Jesus' parable who hid his master's silver in the ground, only to lose it in the end. Matthew 25-28, 29. The gift unclaimed is the gift lost, not because God takes pleasure in withholding, but because purpose unused withers away. Mystics, prophets, and seekers have wrestled with this mystery for millennia. The signs are rarely announced with trumpets. Instead, they often slip by unnoticed in the frenzy of modern living. My sheep listen to my voice, I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. Sometimes, the first whisper of this calling is a persistent, unshakable feeling of being different, of walking out of step with the rhythm of the world, chosen ones often stand on the edges of the crowd, not because they despise it, but because their gaze is fixed on a horizon others cannot see. Do you feel this invisible pull tugging at the deepest part of you? It can be as subtle as feeling out of place in conversations that once interested you, or as bold as an inner resistance to follow the crowd into compromise, like a migrating bird sensing the change of seasons. There's something in you that knows the wind has shifted. Even before the first leaf falls, this sensation is much like a lone wolf in a dense forest, watchful, silent, yet acutely aware of every shift in the wind. It is the recognition that you were made for a journey beyond the well-trodden path. There is often a yearning that has no name, a longing for a purpose that refuses to be satisfied by comfort, applause, or temporary pleasures. As the psalmist wrote, "As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God." Psalm 42:1. The chosen ones hunger for the eternal, even while surrounded by the temporary, and in that hunger, they often find themselves misunderstood, seen as restless by some, ungrateful by others. But the truth is, they are homesick for a kingdom they've never physically seen, yet have always known that restlessness is not a flaw. It is a compass pointing them toward their true assignment. Another unmistakable sign is the inexplicable attraction to what transcends the material world. Chosen ones are drawn to ancient wisdom and sacred truths, much like roots stretching toward deep underground springs. This is the same pull that drew Moses toward the burning bush, a phenomenon that defied the laws of nature, yet demanded his full attention. And in the quiet hours of the night, many have dreams and visions that shimmer with meaning, even if their full significance remains hidden. Could it be that your dreams are not mere fragments of imagination, but messages written in the ink of heaven? Just as rivers carve canyons over centuries, these revelations slowly shape the inner landscape of the chosen. They may not grasp the full picture today, but each dream is a stone in the cathedral of their purpose, laid by unseen hands. Nature itself offers parallels. The nautilus shell, for example, expands chamber by chamber in a perfect spiral, never returning to the same space, yet carrying all its history within. So it is with the chosen ones. They grow in seasons, each stage containing the echoes of the last, building toward a fullness they cannot yet comprehend. And like the sunflower that instinctively turns its face toward the light, so too the chosen soul turns again and again toward the radiance of God's presence. The unfolding of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple. Psalm 119-130. Even the great oak begins as a seed buried in darkness, enduring seasons of cold before ever touching the sky. The process is slow, sometimes painful, but every layer of growth is essential to the final strength. In the realm of art and story, this truth is echoed in Victor Hugo's Les Misérables. Jean Valjean's transformation from a hardened convict to a man of grace was not taught to him, it was ignited by mercy, a divine spark placed within that refused to be extinguished. In the same way, the chosen ones are often reshaped, not by the world's lessons, but by encounters that touch the eternal. Their awakening is not an achievement, it is a revelation. And like Valjean, once they awaken, their very existence becomes a protest against the darkness that once bound them. These moments of transformation often come without warning, like lightning splitting the night sky, sudden, indéniable, and impossible to return from. Perhaps the most intimate sign comes in the form of physical sensation. mysterious currents in the hands, a warmth in the palms, subtle vibrations at the fingertips. They will place their hands on sick people, and they will get well. Mark 16:18. These moments feel guided, almost as if the body remembers a purpose the mind has yet to articulate. It is like standing at the shore during the change of tide, feeling the pull of unseen forces beneath the waves. Some describe it as if their hands were instruments tuned to an invisible song, vibrating with the music of heaven. And in those moments, fear loses its grip, because they are touching a reality far more solid than the one they see. And yet, this power demands recognition. Do not neglect your gift, which was given you through prophecy when the body of elders laid their hands on you. 1 Timothy 4:14. To ignore it is to let the seed remain buried in the soil, never blooming into the tree it was destined to become. It is a tragedy not because God's plan fails, but because the world is left hungrier without the fruit you were meant to bear. The hour is late, and the harvest is ready. If you have felt the stirrings in your soul, do not silence them. If the signs have been flashing before your eyes, do not look away. So I speak to you, not as a stranger, but as one who sees the embers in your soul. Your calling is real. The signs are before you, in your spirit, in your dreams, in the strange pulse of your own hands. The time for wandering is over. Rise. Step into the current of the river God has placed before you. Let the dormant gift surge awake. For the world is waiting for what only you can carry. And when you do, remember this: the same God who began the work in you will be faithful to complete it. Philippians 1-6. Some chosen ones describe the sensation as if their very hands were living conduits, antennae, tuned to a higher realm, channeling an unseen current far greater than their own strength. It is as though their physical body becomes an instrument in a divine orchestra, vibrating in harmony with a frequency beyond human hearing. It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure. Psalm 18:32. Yet, experiencing these sensations does not automatically certify one as a chosen, for the blueprint of calling is not stamped on the surface. It is engraved in the hidden architecture of the soul. Could it be that you've been sensing these faint tremors all along, but mistook them for coincidence? The truth is, not every one of these signs will appear the same way for each person. Just as no two cathedral spires are identical, the path to awakening is uniquely designed for each soul. Life communicates through a complex network of signals: a whisper here, a door closing there, a vision that won't leave you. The spiritual realm operates much like resonance in physics. The right frequency must meet the right structure for amplification to occur. Without that alignment, the note will fade into silence. And so, the chosen must learn to keep their spiritual architecture, mind, heart, and will in perfect tension. Much like the load-bearing arches of a great sanctuary, you might wonder, if this power is so crucial, why do most chosen ones walk unaware of it? Why has no one told them outright? The answer lies in the nature of the power itself. The kingdom of God is within you, Luke 17:21, and what is born within cannot be handed over from without. This is not a weapon that can be simply passed down, nor a formula to be memorized. It must be unearthed, much like an ancient foundation buried beneath centuries of dust, revealed only when the ground is intentionally broken. Are you willing to endure the excavation it takes to find it? The awakening of this gift is always an inward construction project, painstaking, deliberate, and deeply personal. The chosen must pass through chambers of trial, each one testing a different pillar of their inner fortress. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life. James 1:12. There are seasons when the silence feels endless, when prayers seem to echo against the high vaults of heaven without reply. But it is in these seasons that God shapes the acoustics of your soul so that, when the appointed hour comes, His voice will ring clear. The example of Dame Cecily Saunders, a British nurse and social reformer who revolutionized palliative care. She was not born into influence, nor did she inherit wealth or position. Yet through years of medical training, spiritual wrestling, and compassionate service, she unlocked a vision that would change how the world approached death and dignity. She once said, "You matter because you are you, and you matter until the last moment of your life." Her journey was not a sudden blaze of revelation, but the slow, deliberate laying of stone upon stone until the cathedral of her life stood complete. And so it is with every chosen one. This calling demands courage to dismantle old structures within, perseverance to endure the scaffolding season, and humility to let the divine architect design each step, for no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 3:11. Many will never reach this point because they abandon the work when the dust and noise of construction cloud their vision. But those who remain will find that the fortress God builds within them can withstand any storm. The tests will push the chosen ones to their limits. Some trials will feel like the final round of a grueling tournament, where the crowd is silent, the air is heavy, and every heartbeat sounds like a drum in an empty arena. In that quiet, you will hear the truth. The strength was never in the applause, it was in the preparation. And when you rise from that silence, you will not be the same. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. When that moment comes, will you rise and soar or stay grounded, waiting for applause that will never give you wings? The power you carry is not a borrowed flame. It is the eternal fire placed in you before the foundations of the world. The signs may be subtle, the journey long, but the reward is certain. The time for hesitation is gone. Rise now. Chosen one, take your place in the design heaven has drawn for you. Let the dormant gift awaken, for the structure of your destiny is already built. It only awaits your stepping into it. Why is this power hidden in the first place? Why does it not erupt into full force the moment a chosen one draws their first breath? The reason is both simple and profound. The gift must be earned. Being chosen is not a free pass. It is an invitation to refinement. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Luke 16:10. This hiddenness acts as a safeguard, ensuring the gift only awakens in those who have forged the wisdom, humility, and integrity to wield it for good. The delay is not denial, it is preparation. Could it be that the very frustrations and delays in your life have been the chisels shaping you into the vessel worthy to carry this power? Imagine for a moment what might happen if this immense authority fell into the wrong hands, someone unprepared, unstable, or self-serving. The results could be catastrophic, not only for the individual, but for entire communities, even nations. In history, we see chilling examples. One is Cesare Borgia, the Renaissance nobleman whose hunger for power eclipsed all morality, gifted with intelligence and influence. He could have been a unifier, but instead he descended into manipulation, treachery, and bloodshed. His life became a warning etched into history. When power meets corruption, kingdoms crumble. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. Are you allowing God to purify your motives before He releases what He has stored for you? This truth is just as relevant today. There are those who, like Borgia, chase influence before they have mastered character. They rise quickly but fall even faster, leaving behind broken trust and shattered legacies. That is why the gift remains concealed until the chosen one has passed through the fires of testing. It is much like a blacksmith forging a blade. The steel must endure heat, hammer, and water before it is ready for battle. Without the process, the blade will snap in the clash. The crucible for silver and the furnace for gold. But the Lord tests the heart. Proverbs 17:3. But this refining process is not only about removing flaws, it is about unlocking depth. Consider the life of Florence Nightingale. Known as the founder of modern nursing, she was born into privilege, yet walked away from comfort to serve the sick and wounded. She once wrote, "I attribute my success to this. I never gave or took any excuse." Nightingale's gift for leadership and healing was present long before the world saw it. But it was her years of preparation, discipline, and hidden labor that made her a force for good in times of war and disease. In the same way, the chosen ones must be trained in obscurity before their light can guide the masses. This brings us to a vital question. What exactly is this mysterious force that resides in the hands of the chosen? While its full scope may be beyond human comprehension, we can begin to see it for what it is, a direct connection to the creative force of God Himself. In Him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. This is not merely the ability to influence circumstances. It is the privilege of partnering with heaven's will on earth. It is not magic, nor is it mere human talent. It is the breath of the Creator moving through a willing vessel. When the time comes, this power will not simply manifest as a spectacle. It will arrive as an alignment. Your spirit, your purpose, and your calling will converge in a single moment of clarity. The tests, the tears, the waiting, it will all make sense. And when that happens, there will be no mistaking it. You will not wonder whether you are ready. You will know. Because the same Spirit who called you will give you the strength to act. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. When that alignment comes, will you have the stillness to recognize it and the courage to step into it? So, chosen one, do not despise the delay. Do not curse the silence. Every hidden season is a fortress wall rising around your destiny. When the gates open, you will carry not only the gift, but the character to sustain it. The time is coming when the hidden will be revealed. And when it does, you will not step into the light unprepared. You will step into it unstoppable. Rise. For the world is waiting for what only you have been entrusted to carry. This power, rooted not in human ambition, but in the very breath of the Creator, is the ability to shape reality itself. It is the unseen architect that manifests thought into matter, faith into form. In the hands of a fully awakened chosen one, such a gift can accomplish what others might call miracles, restoring the sick to health, calming the elements as Jesus stilled the storm, or even altering the trajectory of events in ways that ripple through generations. With man, this is impossible. But with God, all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. But here lies a sacred truth. This power was never given for the sake of personal glory. Its purpose is not to magnify the self, but to serve the greater good, to bring light into a world veiled in shadow, to restore harmony where chaos has reigned for too long. Could it be that the influence you've been given, however small it seems, is already part of this larger design. The journey toward awakening this power is anything but easy. It requires a complete transformation of the self, an inner molting. Like the ancient cicada shedding its shell after years underground, old beliefs, fears, and illusions must be stripped away, not in a single dramatic moment, but in a patient, often painful process. The chosen must learn to see through the mirage of the material world, discerning the eternal from the temporary. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. This transformation is like the deep ocean current, silent, unseen, yet powerful enough to shift entire coastlines over time. Are you willing to let the tides of heaven reshape your inner landscape? The cultivation of this gift demands qualities that the world rarely rewards: compassion when it's inconvenient, wisdom when silence would be easier, and selflessness when every instinct cries for self-preservation. These virtues are the deep roots that anchor the towering cedar, holding it firm through wind and storm. Without them, the tree falls at the first real gale. In many cases, the awakening begins quietly through events so small they could be missed. A chosen one might ease someone's pain with a touch, the way a gentle rain revives a withered vine, or they might sense a shift in the atmosphere before words are spoken. Much like the meadowlark that sings just before dawn breaks, whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered. Proverbs 11:25. Art and story whisper of this truth. In the musical The Phantom of the Opera, there is a moment when Christine's voice rises above the orchestra, no longer timid, no longer bound by fear. It soars, filling the opera house with something more than music. That transformation did not come by accident. It was forged through trials and choices, through letting go of fear and embracing the fullness of her gift. In the same way, the chosen ones are called to move from hesitation to harmony, until their very presence changes the space they enter. Awakening to this power is not a single revelation, but a lifetime of alignment. Each act of humility, each choice for truth over comfort, adds another note to the song. Heaven is composing through your life. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. The small beginnings are not insignificant. They are the opening measures of a symphony that will one day crescendo into its fullness. When that crescendo comes, will your life song be ready to glorify the one who composed it? So, if your hands tremble with an unexplainable warmth, if your heart stirs with compassion that disrupts your plans, do not dismiss it. These are not accidents, they are invitations. Rise to meet them. The world does not need more noise. It needs your clear, unshakable note in the divine composition. The time is coming when the gift within you will no longer be a whisper, it will be a clarion call. And when it sounds, may it find you ready. There comes a moment in the journey when the chosen one begins to experience flashes of profound intuition, insights so clear, so precise, that they seem to bypass the normal pathways of thought. These early manifestations act as divine breadcrumbs scattered across the path of discovery, guiding them into deeper waters. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you, saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Isaiah 30:21. Could it be that the sudden clarity you felt in pivotal moments was not random instinct, but the first pulse of something greater awakening within you? As awareness grows, the manifestations can become far more dramatic. Objects may shift subtly at the edges of perception, as if space itself responds to the chosen's intent. At times, nature mirrors their state of being, winds rising when their spirit burns with urgency, clouds parting when their soul rests in peace. These moments are both exhilarating and humbling. In the language of physics, it is like stepping into resonance with the underlying field of reality, where thought becomes a frequency that matter cannot ignore. And just as an architect must understand the load distribution before completing a cathedral dome, the chosen one must understand the weight of their own influence before attempting to wield it. With each new ability comes a sobering realization. Every thought and every action carries immense weight, for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each of us may receive what is due us for the things done, whether good or bad. 2 Corinthians 5:10. The chosen ones see that their words are not mere sound, they are architectural blueprints in the unseen, shaping the structures of relationships, communities, and even destinies. In cognitive science, this could be compared to neuroplasticity, where repeated patterns of thought carve new pathways in the brain. Only here, the carving reaches into the spiritual terrain of reality itself. This awareness can be overwhelming at first. The sudden recognition that one's influence can alter the course of events is both a privilege and a burden. The story of Frederick Ozanam, a 19th century French scholar and lawyer who, in the midst of intellectual acclaim, felt compelled to serve the poor. He founded the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, which continues to impact millions today. His power was not in moving objects or shifting weather, but in moving hearts and shifting the moral climate of his society. He once said, "Knowledge of social well-being is learned, not from books, but in climbing the stairs to the poor man's garret. This is the mark of the awakened chosen, using influence for restoration, not domination." The process of awakening also involves a profound shift in consciousness. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. Colossians 3:2. It is the recalibration of the soul's compass to align with heaven's coordinates. In acoustics, there is a phenomenon called sympathetic vibration, when one instrument begins to resonate because another nearby is playing the same note. The chosen ones begin to live in such harmony with the Spirit that their lives vibrate in response to heaven's song. They cease to chase after every passing noise, and instead anchor themselves to the eternal tone. This is why the awakening cannot be rushed. Just as a stained glass window takes years to design, cut, and piece together before light can flood through it, so too must the chosen's inner architecture be built to handle the radiance of their gift. Rushing the process would be like lighting a candle inside a structure not yet finished. The light might be beautiful, but the risk of collapse is great. The one who calls you is faithful, and he will do it. 1 Thessalonians 5:24. When the master builder completes his work for you, will you be ready to bear the full weight of that light? So, chosen one, if you feel the first sparks, do not ignore them. If your thoughts seem to carry more weight, if creation itself seems to lean toward you, take it as a sign. The time will come when your influence will be undeniable, and when it does, may your power be tempered by wisdom, your authority by love, and your voice by the resonance of heaven. Rise into your calling, for the world needs the architecture of your destiny completed. The chosen ones must eventually come to a profound realization. They are not separate from the power, they are expressions of it. This shift in identity changes everything. I am the vine, you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing. John 15:5. When they stop seeing the gift as an external tool to be used and start seeing it as the very life that flows through them, They step into an entirely different realm of authority. Have you been living as if the power of God is somewhere outside of you, when in truth it was designed to move in and through you all along? As they walk this path of awakening, many chosen ones encounter mentors, guides, who appear at critical moments. Some are living, breathing people whose lives burn with wisdom. Others come as spiritual beings or as the unmistakable voice of truth within. These guides are not random. They are strategically placed in the journey, much like lighthouses along a treacherous coast, warning of hidden rocks and showing the way to safe passage. Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. Proverbs 15:22. The chosen ones who heed these lights avoid shipwreck. Those who ignore them risk losing far more than time. History offers luminous examples of such guidance. One is Pope John Paul II, whose early life was marked by tragedy and oppression under Nazi and communist regimes. Guided by mentors in faith and philosophy, he emerged as a voice for dignity and freedom across the world. He once said, "The future starts today, not tomorrow." His strength was not only in the courage to speak, but in the humility to be taught. This is the path of the true chosen, open to receive instruction while steadfast in conviction. Yet for every noble example, history also shows the danger of refusing guidance. The case of Francisco Macias Nguema, the first president of Equatorial Guinea after independence, gifted with influence. He isolated himself from counsel, silenced dissent, and ruled through paranoia. His descent into tyranny left a legacy of fear, economic collapse, and mass suffering. His life stands as a stark warning. When a leader refuses to learn, the gift becomes a weapon against the very people it was meant to protect. Where there is strife, there is pride. But wisdom is found in those who take advice. Proverbs 13:10. Could it be that the next great test in your journey is not in your ability to act, but in your willingness to listen? One of the most critical lessons the chosen ones must master is the art of balance. Power without compassion becomes tyranny. Compassion without power becomes impotence. They must learn to be both the hammer and the hand that steadies the nail, firm enough to build, gentle enough not to break. Be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. Matthew 10:16. This balance extends into every part of life, knowing when to step forward and when to step back, when to speak fire and when to speak peace, when to shape events and when to allow them to unfold in God's timing. This is not a static skill, but a living discipline. It is like walking a rope bridge over a canyon. Every step requires awareness, humility, and trust. The more they practice this balance, the less they are swayed by the chaos around them, and as they grow, their presence alone becomes a stabilizing force. People begin to sense that when the chosen one enters a room, the scales tip toward order and hope. The fruit of righteousness will be peace. Its effect will be quietness and confidence forever. Isaiah 32:17. When you step onto that bridge, will you carry the kind of peace that steadies the world around you? So I speak to you, chosen one, embrace the power. But never forget, it is borrowed light. Learn from those who walk ahead of you, and let their wisdom anchor you. Guard yourself against the pride that isolates, for it can rot the very foundation you stand on. Walk in balance, and your gift will not consume you, it will complete you. The world is waiting for a power that is both fierce and tender, and you were born to carry it. Rise, for the hour has come. The chosen ones must walk a path that demands a rare duality. They are called to move through the material world with grace while keeping their spirit anchored in the eternal. Do not love the world or anything in the world. The world and its desires pass away. But whoever does the will of God lives forever. 1 John 2:15. Should see. This means they must fulfill earthly responsibilities, jobs, families, relationships, without losing sight of their higher purpose. They must. In the words of Jesus, be in the world, but not of it. Have you been so consumed by daily obligations that you've forgotten the higher song your life was meant to play? As they step more fully into their calling, something extraordinary happens. Their perception of reality shifts. They begin to notice the threads that weave through all creation, the unseen patterns that shape both the smallest events and the grandest movements of history. It's as if they have been walking through a forest their whole lives, seeing only the trees, and now suddenly perceive the vast root system beneath their feet, roots connecting everything in a hidden network of life. For in him all things were created. All things have been created through him and for him. Colossians 1:16. Could it be that the moments you've called coincidence were actually threads in this divine tapestry? This awareness brings both wonder and weight, like the migration of monarch butterflies spanning generations. They see that every choice, every word, sends ripples far beyond what the eye can track. Some effects bloom years later, in places they will never see. This is both beautiful and overwhelming. In the same way that a single rock can change the course of a river's current, their smallest action can redirect the flow of someone's life. The tongue has the power of life and death. Proverbs 18:21. Does knowing this make you more cautious or more courageous? Art has hinted at this truth. In the film The Mission, the character Rodrigo Mendoza undergoes a transformation from a violent mercenary to a humble servant of God. In one unforgettable scene, he drags the weight of his past, symbolized by heavy armor, up a treacherous cliff. When it is finally cut away, he is free to serve with pure heart. This is the journey of the chosen, to carry the burden of awareness without being crushed by it, to let go of what no longer serves their calling, so they can walk lightly yet powerfully. Nature offers another mirror to this truth. In the canopy of the Amazon, certain towering trees known as emergents rise far above the rest, anchoring the ecosystem. Their roots dig deep, drawing water that sustains smaller plants, while their branches shelter countless creatures. The chosen ones are like these emergencies, visible from afar, yet deeply connected to the life beneath them. They see not only their own survival, but the flourishing of the entire forest. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. 1 Peter 4:10, not as a token act of charity, but as the steady outpouring of a life rooted deep in God, feeding and sheltering all that he has entrusted to your shade. And with this expanded perception comes an unshakable responsibility. They understand that their life is not an isolated journey, but part of the entire web of existence. Like waves born from a single drop, their influence will travel outward, touching lives they will never meet, shaping outcomes they will never witness. To whom much is given, much will be required. Luke 12:48. So, chosen one, walk with eyes wide open and heart steadfast. The patterns you see are not illusions, they are invitations. Step into your place in the grand design. For the web is incomplete without your thread. Let your life be the branch that shelters, the current that nourishes, and the light that guides. The world is waiting for the harmony only you can bring. Rise. For the time is now. When speaking of this hidden power, we must confront a question that reaches into the core of existence. Why? Why has heaven entrusted such an extraordinary ability to certain individuals? For we are God's handiwork. created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Ephesians 2:10. The answer lies in the very architecture of reality. We inhabit a world wounded by imbalance, where greed has overrun stewardship and division has drowned out unity. Our planet groans for restoration, yearning for a return to its original alignment with the Creator's design. Could it be that you, too, were placed here as a living instrument in that restoration? The chosen ones function like acupuncture needles in the body of the world. Just as an acupuncturist uses precise points to restore the flow of energy in the human body, they are strategically positioned to release blockages in the spiritual and moral currents of society. In physics, this could be compared to harmonic resonance, when a single note, struck in the right place, causes an entire structure to vibrate in unison. A chosen one's words, actions, and very presence can cause dormant virtues in others to awaken, setting off waves of change that ripple far beyond the immediate moment. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Their calling is not to carry the burden of the world alone, but to ignite a chain reaction. Every encounter, every act of faith, becomes a spark in a vast network of divine wiring. In architecture, a single keystone at the apex of an arch holds the entire structure in place, not because it bears all the weight, but because it locks every other stone into alignment. Likewise, the chosen ones do not replace the role of others, they awaken it. Have you ever considered that your smallest act of obedience could be the keystone holding someone else's destiny together? History gives us living proof. Dame Jane Goodall, known globally for her groundbreaking work with chimpanzees, began her mission not with power, wealth, or political influence, but with deep observation and compassion for creation. She once said, "What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make." Her life became a kind of living acupuncture for our planet, pinpointing where humanity had gone numb to nature's voice and reawakening our responsibility toward it. Her work reminds us that the power to heal is not just in the hands of the few. It is awakened when anyone aligns their life with higher purpose. The awakening of the chosen ones is never an isolated phenomenon. It is part of a greater symphony in which every instrument matters, just as a body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body. So it is with Christ. 1 Corinthians 12:12. Even those without the specific gift of the chosen have their place in the grand design. Think of it as a celestial relay race. When one runner tires, another takes the baton. But the finish is only possible when all run their portion faithfully. And so, the chosen stand at a crossroads between heaven and earth. They are not saviors. They are conductors, tuning the strings of creation back to the original key in which it was composed. The rest of us are not spectators. We are fellow musicians in the orchestra of restoration. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. 1 Peter 4:10. When your part comes in, will you play it with all the devotion the composer deserves? So I say to you, step into your measure of the calling. Do not dismiss it because it seems small, nor shrink back because it feels heavy. The same designer who drew the blueprint of galaxies also wove you into this generation's plan. Whether you are the needle, the keystone, or the runner with the baton, play your part. The harmony of the whole depends on it. Rise, for the song has already begun, and your note is needed. The rise of the chosen ones is never an isolated event. It is a spark that ignites other flames. As they step into their authority, their very presence becomes catalytic, sending ripples through the atmosphere. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. Their expanded consciousness begins to lift those around them, often without words. Someone near them might suddenly see a path they couldn't see before, or feel the courage to take a step they had been avoiding for years. Have you noticed how a single person, fully alive in their calling, can awaken something dormant in you? This is the mysterious beauty of the calling. It multiplies. One awakened soul plants seeds in countless others, triggering a chain reaction of transformation. Iron sharpens iron, and one person sharpens another. Proverbs 27-17. But with this influence comes the unavoidable truth. With great power comes great testing. The chosen ones are not immune to hardship. In fact, their trials often cut deeper and burn hotter than most. Why? Because the weight of their gift demands the strength of refined character. Without the fire, the vessel cannot be tempered. Could it be that the storms you face are not proof of abandonment, but proof of preparation? History is rich with examples of those who met these trials with courage. William Wilberforce, a British statesman in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, could have spent his political career amassing wealth and status. Instead, he chose the exhausting, decades-long battle to abolish the transatlantic slave trade, facing ridicule, political sabotage, and repeated defeat. He pressed on, convinced that his gift of influence was entrusted to him for the liberation of others. Near the end of his life, he saw the passage of the Slavery Abolition Act, a victory that outlived him. His story stands as a beacon. True power is proven in the moments when self-interest would be easiest. Yet, the opposite path is just as instructive. Take the case of Ferdinand Marcos, the former president of the Philippines, gifted with charisma, intelligence, and national influence. He allowed the temptation of wealth and unchecked authority to consume him. What began as a promising leadership arc collapsed into decades of corruption, repression, and economic decline. His legacy became a cautionary tale. When a gift is used to feed the ego rather than serve others, it rots from the inside out. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Mark 8:36. If the same temptations came for you, would your soul stand unshaken, or would the rot begin in silence? Temptation is often subtle. It may not arrive in the form of obvious corruption, but as small compromises that accumulate over time. That is why one of the chosen one's greatest disciplines is the guarding of their intentions. They must constantly ask themselves, is this decision building the kingdom or just building my name? Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. Without vigilance, even a noble calling can be hijacked by pride. The path of the chosen one will always carry this tension, the pull between serving the mission and serving the self. Those who endure will find that every trial, every temptation resisted, becomes a stone in the foundation of their authority. And one day, when they look back, they will see that the battles they thought were detours were actually the very road that led them to their destiny. So I say to you now, resist the lure of shortcuts. Reject the bait of self-glory. Let your gift remain in the service of God and His purposes. For when the day comes that your influence spreads farther than your sight can reach, the world will not remember the wealth you amassed or the titles you held. It will remember the light you carried. Rise and guard it well. One of the greatest dangers the chosen ones face is not the obvious opposition from outside, but the subtle erosion of their calling from within. When the gift is used for self-interest or pride, it begins to leak power, much like a cistern with unseen cracks. If you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. 1 Corinthians 10:12. Every compromise, no matter how small, shifts them a step away from their original purpose. Could it be that the real battleground is not in the world around you, but in the quiet negotiations within your own heart? Another challenge is the profound isolation that often comes with being set apart. As the chosen ones awaken to their unique nature, they may feel increasingly alienated from the familiar rhythms of those around them. Conversations that once felt satisfying now ring hollow. Friendships may fade, not because of bitterness, but because their spirit has moved into a different season. This loneliness is not unlike the life of a solitary alpine tree rooted high on a windswept ridge, far from the forest below. It stands alone, enduring fierce storms. Yet in its solitude, it grows stronger, its roots digging deep into the rock. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He causes me to stand on the heights. Psalm 18:33. The higher the calling, the more rugged the path that leads there. Such isolation, while painful, serves an essential purpose. It tempers the soul, like the tempering of steel in the forge. Adversity heats the chosen one's spirit, shaping resilience and refining humility. This process produces a quiet strength, a compassion born from knowing the ache of being misunderstood. In time, this becomes one of their greatest assets, for they can meet others in the depth of their struggle without judgment. We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance. Romans 5:3. What feels like breaking is often the shaping of a vessel meant to carry greater glory. You might wonder, how can anyone truly know if they are among the chosen? The truth is, certainty often comes only with the passage of time and the layering of experiences. But there are signs, flickers of the divine blueprint showing through the fabric of daily life. In the same way, a pearl forms quietly inside the shell. These signs develop slowly, hidden from casual observation. Could it be that the moments you've dismissed as odd or coincidental were in fact the markers of your awakening? One of the most consistent indicators lies in the hands. Do they carry warmth that others can feel? Do you ever notice a tingling in your palms? As if they are tuned to some invisible current, they will lay hands on the sick, and they will recover. Mark 16:18. These sensations can be as subtle as the tremor of a leaf in still air. Yet they signal something extraordinary, like the migration of sea turtles guided across thousands of miles by an unseen magnetic pull. Your spirit knows its direction long before your mind understands the map. Art has captured this hidden reality. In The Lord of the Rings, the transformation of Aragorn is not marked by sudden displays of might, but by years of walking in the shadows, protecting others without claiming the throne that was rightfully his. When the time comes, it is not his sword alone that wins loyalty. It is the steadfast compassion and humility that have defined his journey. The chosen ones, too, must learn that their gift is not defined by what they can do, but by the love with which they do it. So if you find yourself alone on the high ridge, if your hands stir with unexplainable energy, if your life feels both too heavy for the world and yet strangely full of light, do not run from it. These are not burdens, they are confirmations. Stand firm in your season of forging, for when the time comes, the very solitude that once felt like exile will become the vantage point from which you lead. Rise, for the world will one day trace its awakening back to the quiet strength you are building now. Unusual sensations, a tingling warmth, a gentle vibration in the palms or fingertips can be the first signals of something stirring beneath the surface. They will place their hands on sick people, and they will get well. Mark 16:18. You may notice that when you touch another person, their breathing eases, their mind calms, or their pain diminishes. This is not simply comfort, it is the first resonance of a frequency. Heaven has tuned into your being. In physics, this is akin to a standing wave, a pattern of energy that stays fixed in place, yet radiates its influence outward. Could it be that your hands are already instruments, waiting to be played by the divine conductor? Look also at your inner experiences. Do your dreams run vivid, layered with imagery that lingers for days? Are there moments when a thought arrives not as a guess, but as a knowing, precise, unshakable, beyond explanation? These are not random firings of the brain. They can be likened to deep-sea sonar, where unseen echoes return with maps of what lies hidden below. Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets. Amos 3-7. This kind of intuition is not about predicting events for entertainment. It is about aligning your awareness with the architecture of heaven's purposes. Notice 2. How you interact with the world around you. Do you feel an unspoken kinship with nature, the way a forest seems to breathe with you, or a river seems to carry your thoughts? Those who carry this hidden power often find themselves instinctively drawn to help and heal, even when no one asks. In the realm of psychology, this could be called empathic attunement, a heightened ability to sense and respond to the inner state of others, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians 6:2. Are you already walking through life as a healer without realizing it? Being a chosen one is not a badge of superiority. It is a mantle of responsibility. True authority in the kingdom is never for self-exaltation, it is for service. In architecture, the strongest structures are often hidden from view, the load-bearing beams, the deep foundations. Likewise, the most powerful chosen ones are not those seeking the spotlight, but those quietly sustaining the weight of others. The greatest among you will be your servant. Matthew 23:11. Greatness in God's eyes is measured not by how high you rise, but by how much weight you are willing to carry for others. History gives us vivid proof of this truth. Chiara Lubich, founder of the Focalaire movement, began her mission in the midst of World War II's devastation. She gathered small groups in bomb shelters, not to plot revenge, but to share food, scripture, and hope. Her vision of unity spread to millions, not because she sought power, but because she allowed herself to be a vessel for it. She once said, "If one is alone, they can do little. United, they can do much." Her life reflects the very essence of what it means to carry a gift for the sake of the greater good. And for those who are not chosen ones in this specific sense, the call is no less sacred. Now to each one the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. 1 Corinthians 12:7. Every life is an essential piece of the divine blueprint. The awakening of a few is meant to inspire the participation of all, even if your role is not to channel this particular power. Your willingness to live in harmony with its purpose strengthens the entire structure. So when the architect calls for your piece, will it fit perfectly into the design, or will it be missing from the wall? So, if you suspect the signs are present in you, approach them with humility. Guard your heart against pride. Let your hands, your voice, and your life be instruments tuned for heaven's use. The measure of your gift will not be in how brightly it makes you shine, but in how deeply it allows others to see the light of God. Rise, For the architect of eternity has already marked where your stone will fit. Do not despair. Every single one of us has been given a unique and irreplaceable role in the unfolding story of creation. Your path may not involve wielding extraordinary supernatural abilities, yet it is no less sacred, no less vital. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. 1 Corinthians 12:4. The awakening of the chosen ones is not meant to create a hierarchy, but to shine as a beacon, illuminating the road of spiritual maturity for the whole of humanity. Could it be that your role is to carry a light into places the chosen themselves cannot reach? The relationship between the chosen ones and the rest of humanity is one of deep, living symbiosis. Just as the heart needs the lungs to keep the blood rich with oxygen, so too do the chosen ones need the understanding and support of those around them. Their courage grows in the fertile soil of community, and in turn, their awakening lifts the consciousness of the human family. Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. Ecclesiastes 4:9. Without that mutual exchange, both would wither. Are you nurturing the ones God has placed near you, or leaving them to walk their road alone? History offers us luminous examples of this interplay. Take the life of Desmond Tutu, the South African archbishop who stood against apartheid while he carried a rare gift of moral authority. It was the support of ordinary citizens praying, protesting, refusing to be silent that allowed his influence to take root. Tutu once said, "Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world." His calling would have been far harder, perhaps impossible, without the collective courage of those who believed alongside him. But for every story of mutual strengthening, there are also stories of tragic sabotage moments when either the chosen or those around them break the sacred trust. One such example is Vidkun Quisling, the Norwegian leader who betrayed his own nation by collaborating with Nazi occupiers during World War II. Instead of using his position to protect his people, he used it to serve his own survival, forever staining his name. His betrayal reminds us that when those entrusted with influence choose self-preservation over service, the damage is not just political, it ripples into the moral fabric of a nation. When the righteous thrive, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. Proverbs 29:2. For leadership is never a private possession. It is a trust whose blessings or curses are borne by all who live beneath its shadow. Now, imagine a future where the chosen ones are fully awakened and aligned with the divine plan. What would such a world look like? Miraculous healings would no longer be rare headlines. They would be woven into the fabric of daily life. The hands of the chosen could cure diseases that once defied medical science. Justice would flow like an unbroken river. Forgiveness would disarm vengeance before it took root. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Matthew 6:10. Does this vision stir your spirit or make you wonder if such a day could truly come? And yet, this future is not inevitable. It is conditional. It depends on the willingness of both the chosen and the many who walk beside them to live in truth, humility, and service. It calls for courage to resist the easy road, faith to believe in what cannot yet be seen, and unity to withstand the trials ahead. So I say to you, whether you are a chosen one or a companion to one, your place in this story matters. Support the light bearers. Guard your own heart from corruption. Let your faith fuel their mission, and let their mission inspire your faith. For the day will come when the world will not be divided into the powerful and the powerless, but into those who answered the call and those who ignored it. Rise, For your part in this divine history is now in such a future. What once was deemed incurable would bend before the touch of the chosen ones. Countless lives would be restored, not only in body, but in hope. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. Imagine barren lands blossoming again, rivers once choked with pollution running clear, and entire forests returning to life. The chosen, attuned to the rhythms of creation, could work in harmony with the natural world, guiding it back to the balance it was meant to hold. Could it be that the healing of our planet has been waiting for the healing of our hearts? In the animal kingdom, there are species that act as keystone creatures, small in number, yet essential to the survival of their entire ecosystem. Wolves, for example, when reintroduced into Yellowstone National Park, not only controlled prey populations, but restored rivers, reshaped landscapes, and revived plant life. The chosen ones would function much the same way. Their presence would realign the flow of life across nations, cultures, and even the environment itself. The creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Romans 8:19. On a societal level, the fully awakened chosen ones could shift the very axis of our collective consciousness. Their example of compassion, wisdom, and selfless service could ignite a global movement toward peace, cooperation, and shared purpose. Like mycelium in a forest spreading unseen beneath the soil, connecting every tree, and transferring life-giving nutrients, they would become a hidden network of restoration for the human family. Would the world still choose war and division if it could taste the fruit of such unity? Art has glimpsed this kind of transformation. In the opera Fidelio by Beethoven, the character Leonore disguises herself and risks everything to free her unjustly imprisoned husband. Her act is not merely a personal rescue, it becomes a symbol of freedom that ripples far beyond her own life. The chosen ones, too, are not sent to achieve isolated victories, but to set chains falling in ways that echo through generations. Yet we must remember, this vision is not guaranteed. I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life. Deuteronomy 30:19. It hinges on the choices we make here and now, both individually and collectively. The awakening of the chosen ones is not a spectacle for passive observers. It is a summons for participation. Will we be the soil in which their mission flourishes, or the weeds that choke it out? So, what can we do to support this grand unfolding? First and foremost, we align our own lives with the same principles. The chosen ones embody truth, humility, and a commitment to serve beyond self. Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Hebrews 10:24. Every small act, every moment of courage, every refusal to bow to fear becomes a stitch in the great tapestry of restoration. The call is simple, yet urgent. The future will not be decided by the gifted few, but by the faithful many. Step into your part. Lend your strength to the mission. Let your voice join the chorus of those who believe the kingdom can come, not someday, but now. Rise, for the harmony of the world is waiting for your note. We must first cultivate a deep and intentional awareness, an alertness that goes beyond mere observation. This means learning to notice the subtle signals and synchronicities that weave through our days. Be very careful. Then, how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. Ephesians 5:15. These moments might seem insignificant, a conversation overheard, a chance meeting, a door closing unexpectedly, yet they could be the divine markers guiding your steps. In neuroscience, This heightened sensitivity can be compared to reticular activation, where the brain's filter begins to prioritize certain patterns because they align with your purpose. Could it be that you've been missing God's breadcrumbs because you weren't looking for them? Secondly, we must practice compassion and understanding, especially toward those who stand out as different, those who don't fit neatly into society's molds. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. Hebrews 13:2. That quiet co-worker who avoids small talk, the neighbor whose habits seem odd, the youth who resists conformity. They may be chosen ones in the early tremors of awakening, struggling to anchor themselves. Your acceptance might be the very bridge that keeps them from withdrawing into isolation. History gives us powerful confirmation of this truth. Dr. Temple Grandin, a scientist and autism advocate, transformed the livestock industry through her innovative designs for humane animal handling. Early in life, she was often misunderstood, dismissed, or even ridiculed for being different. Yet it was precisely her unique way of seeing the world that allowed her to bring compassion into an industry where it was rarely considered. She once said, "The world needs different kinds of minds to work together." Her life illustrates that embracing difference can release innovations and mercies the world desperately needs. Thirdly, regardless of whether you are a chosen one, you must commit to your own spiritual growth. Grow in the grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. 2 Peter 3:18. This involves cultivating practices that keep you in tune with your higher nature: prayer, contemplation, scripture study, even stillness. Think of it as maintaining the calibration of a finely tuned instrument. In acoustics, if an instrument falls out of tune, the entire symphony suffers. So too does the harmony of humanity when we neglect our inner alignment. Are you tending to your own resonance, or have you allowed it to fade beneath the noise of daily life? Fourthly, we must be willing to challenge our own beliefs and perceptions. This is not rebellion for its own sake, but a willingness to re-evaluate what we have assumed to be true in light of higher wisdom. Test everything, hold on to what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. In architecture, there are moments when a blueprint must be redrawn because the foundation demands a stronger structure. Spiritually, this may mean letting go of comfortable but limiting doctrines so the true pillars of truth can stand unshaken. All of this creates what I call the scaffolding of awakening, a structure that not only supports the chosen ones in their ascent, but also elevates everyone within its reach. Your awareness becomes a watchtower, your compassion becomes a safety net, your growth becomes a pillar in the great temple of collective purpose. The higher each part rises, the stronger the whole becomes. Encourage one another and build each other up. 1 Thessalonians 5:11. For in the architecture of God's kingdom, no stone is set for itself alone. Each is placed so the entire structure may stand unshaken. So I challenge you, do not dismiss the patterns in your life as random. Do not withhold kindness from those who are different. Do not neglect your own growth. And do not fear the deconstruction of what no longer serves truth. For the awakening of the chosen ones is not their mission alone. It is the scaffolding for the next chapter of humanity. And your hands are needed on the beams. Rise, for the work has already. The awakening of the chosen ones often rips open the veil between what we believed possible and what heaven has already scripted. It forces us to confront truths that stretch the boundaries of human comprehension, for now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. 1 Corinthians 13:12. And yet, those who dare to remain open despite the disorientation are the ones who find themselves standing at the threshold of a reality where miracles are not rare exceptions, but daily companions. We must remember that trusting the divine plan is not passive resignation, it is active alignment. It means leaning into the mystery, even when the steps ahead vanish into the mist. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3-5. There will be days when the silence of God feels unbearable, when the timing of heaven feels like delay. But in truth, it is orchestration. The chosen ones awaken not one moment too soon, nor 1 second too late, to see what this looks like in the human story. Desmond Doss, an American Army medic during World War II, who refused to carry a weapon because of his convictions, on the battlefield of Okinawa, under relentless enemy fire, he single-handedly rescued 75 wounded soldiers, lowering them one by one to safety. He endured mockery, danger, and injury, yet never compromised his belief that his gift was to save life, not take it. His life was a living testament that the true mark of the chosen is not in how fiercely they fight for survival, but in how unshakably they reflect Christ under the weight of suffering. But history also warns us through the shadows. Gilles de Rais, a French nobleman and former military companion of Joan of Arc, once celebrated as a hero. His descent into depravity became one of the most disturbing moral collapses in European history. What began with valor ended in atrocity, showing that unguarded power without surrender to God will always devour itself. The same fire that can light the world can also consume it from within. The true mastery of the hidden power lies not in bending reality to one's will, but in bending one's will to God's heart. The miracle is not merely in healing the sick or calming the storm, it is in the chosen one's own transformation from separation to unity, from fear to love, from limitation to boundless possibility. For it is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose. Philippians 2:13. When the chosen ones embrace this transformation, they become living templates of humanity's highest calling. They prove, not by theory, but by presence, that alignment with the divine is possible. They remind us that our part in this cosmic drama, whether great or small, is not about titles or recognition, but about fidelity to the light we have been given. And as this truth seeps into your spirit, I ask, what will your role be when the curtain rises on the next act? So, chosen ones, now you know this power was never meant to sleep forever. It was placed within you before the foundations of the world, knit into your spirit by the very hands of the Creator. It is not for vanity, nor for building your own kingdom, but for aligning earth with heaven's design. The truth is, you were not sent here merely to survive. You were sent here to shift the atmosphere, to heal the broken, to restore what has been stolen. When you step into this awareness, the battlefield changes. Darkness no longer intimidates you, it retreats. Fear no longer binds you, it bows. And the more you align with God's will, the more you will see that this gift is not just about what you can do, but about who you are becoming in Him. That, my friends, is the real miracle. If today's message stirred something deep in your spirit, I want you to pause right now and type 777 inch as the comments, as a declaration that you are ready to awaken to your true calling. Like this video if it blessed you. Share it so someone else might be reminded of who they are in God. And subscribe so you don't miss the next word meant for your spirit. To every single one of you watching, whether you have supported through super thanks or simply by lending your time and attention, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are not just viewers, you are part of a family of seekers, warriors, and restorers. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and give you peace. And may you walk boldly into the days ahead, knowing this: you were chosen, equipped, and sent for such a time as this.